This game would change the Cold War forever. But somewhere in a locker room in upstate New York, a 22-year-old was probably thinking, so, if we lose, do we still get dinner? February 22nd, 1980. Lake Placid, New York. A quiet mountain town covered in snow, surrounded by frozen lakes and pine trees. It looked peaceful, almost too peaceful for what was about to happen. The Winter Olympics were underway, and on the schedule was a hockey game that, on paper, seemed predictable: the United States versus the Soviet Union. But this wasn't just a game. To understand why, we have to step back into the Cold War. For decades, the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a tense global rivalry. It wasn't direct warfare. It was ideological warfare. Democracy versus communism. Capitalism versus state control. Both nations competed for dominance in nuclear weapons, space exploration, global influence, and yes, sports. Every Olympic medal counted. Every victory was propaganda. Every defeat was embarrassment. The Soviet Union had built a hockey empire. They trained together year-round. They were technically classified as amateurs, but make no mistake, they were professionals in everything but name. Their system was disciplined, structured, relentless. Crisp passing, perfect positioning, conditioning that bordered on extreme. They had won 4 consecutive Olympic gold medals. They routinely defeated the best professional teams in North America. Weeks before the Olympics, the Soviets had crushed an NHL All-Star team 6-0. Many experts believe they were the greatest hockey team ever assembled. Now compare that to the United States. The American roster was made up mostly of college players. No NHL superstars. No professional contracts. The average age was just 22. They came from schools like Minnesota and Boston University. Talented? Yes. Experienced? Not even close to the Soviets. Their coach, Herb Brooks, had a vision. He didn't just pick the best players individually. He picked the right mix. He wanted speed, chemistry, mental toughness. He pushed them mercilessly in practice, conditioning drills so brutal that players still talk about them decades later. One famous practice ended with Brooks shouting, again, as players skated suicide drills over and over after a disappointing exhibition performance. Imagine being a college kid thinking you're elite, and then realizing your coach is preparing you for something far bigger than you understand. Somewhere during those endless sprints, one player probably thought, "Sir, we are literally at the Olympics. Why are we still running?" But Brooks knew something. He believed his team could skate with the Soviets. Maybe not out-experience them, but outwork them, outlast them. As the Olympic tournament began, the Americans showed flashes of potential. They tied Sweden. They defeated Czechoslovakia. Confidence began to build quietly. Then came the matchup everyone was waiting for: United States versus Soviet Union. The arena in Lake Placid was electric. Flags waving, crowds packed tight, television cameras broadcasting around the world. Even U.S. President Jimmy Carter was paying attention. On one side, the red jerseys of the Soviet machine, calm, focused, disciplined. On the other, young Americans bouncing nervously, adjusting gloves, tapping sticks against the boards. You can almost hear one whispering under his breath, "Okay, deep breaths. It's just the best team on earth." The puck dropped. The Soviets scored first. A clean, efficient goal. It felt inevitable. The arena quieted. But something interesting happened. The Americans didn't crumble. They pushed back. Aggressive forechecking. Fast transitions. They scored to tie the game. The crowd erupted. The underdogs were fighting. Late in the first period, with seconds remaining, the Americans scored again. Tie game. Then came a shocking decision. The Soviet coach removed Vladislav Tretiak, widely considered the best goalie in the world, and replaced him. Whether it was frustration or strategy, the move stunned spectators. On the Soviet bench, maybe someone thought, "Wait, what just happened?" The second period belonged mostly to the Soviets. They regained the lead. Their puck movement was surgical. Their shots relentless. American goalie Jim Craig faced wave after wave of attacks. Save after save. He stayed composed, crouched low, eyes tracking every movement. Imagine the mental pressure. If I mess this up, he might have thought. This becomes a documentary, but not the good kind. The third period began. Score: Soviet Union 3, United States 2. 20 minutes separated reality from miracle. Early in the period, Mark Johnson scored. Tie game. The crowd erupted again. The sound inside the arena became deafening. Then came the moment. With about 10 minutes remaining, Mike Eruzione took control of the puck near the slot. He shot. The puck flew past the Soviet goalie. Goal. United States 4. Soviet Union 3. For a split second, time froze. Then the arena exploded. On the American bench, disbelief. On the Soviet bench, shock. Somewhere in the crowd, a bundled fan probably screamed internally, "If we win this, I am never shutting up." The final 10 minutes were chaos. The Soviets attacked relentlessly. Shot after shot. Jim Craig blocked everything he could. The defense cleared pucks desperately. Players threw themselves in front of shots. 5 minutes left. 4, 3. The crowd began chanting, "USA, USA." Every second stretched painfully. 2 minutes left. The Soviets pulled their goalie for an extra attacker. The ice tilted toward the American zone. One American defenseman might have thought, "Why does this clock move slower than math class?" 30 seconds. 20. 10. The puck bounced dangerously near the American net. Cleared. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. The buzzer sounded. Pandemonium. Players leapt off the bench. Gloves flew into the air. Sticks scattered across the ice. They piled onto each other at center rink. Broadcaster Al Michaels delivered the iconic line, "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes. And just like that, the miracle on ice was born. But here's something many people forget. This wasn't even the gold medal game. The Americans still had to defeat Finland. And they did, winning the gold medal days later. Yet it was this victory, this improbable upset, that echoed around the world. Why? Because it wasn't just about hockey. In 1980, the United States faced economic struggles, political tension, and uncertainty abroad. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan had recently escalated tensions. Many Americans felt discouraged. Then came a team of 22-year-olds who weren't supposed to win. And they did. The victory became symbolic. It wasn't a military triumph. It wasn't a political negotiation. It was sport, pure, unpredictable sport, reminding people that belief matters. Years later, players reflected on how young they were, how little they grasped the global impact in that moment. Imagine stepping onto the ice as an underdog and stepping off as a national symbol. Somewhere during the celebration, exhausted and breathless, a player probably thought, "Okay, that was insane." The miracle on ice became one of the greatest moments in sports history. It inspired books, movies, speeches. It became shorthand for impossible comebacks. But at its core, it was simple: preparation, leadership, teamwork, belief under pressure. Coach Herb Brooks once said, "You were born to be a player. You were meant to be here." For one extraordinary night in Lake Placid, they were exactly where they were meant to be. History remembers it as a turning point of confidence during the Cold War. But if you zoom in, past the politics, past the symbolism, you see young athletes, hearts pounding, legs burning, trying to hold a one-goal lead against the best team in the world. And maybe, just maybe, one of them glanced at the scoreboard in those final seconds thinking, "This is going to be on a test someday. I can feel it." The ice eventually melted. The arena quieted. The players returned to ordinary lives, classes, careers, families. But February 22nd, 1980 remains frozen in time. A reminder that sometimes the underdog skates faster. Sometimes belief is stronger than reputation. And sometimes miracles happen on ice.